Hello, friends. I was going to say welcome to the Friday stream, but it's actually Monday, but it's going to be a Friday stream in spirit because we are going to read an article from the failing New York Times and we're going to just like have a little chit chat. So, hello and welcome. I was just saying in the chat that I live in the middle of the woods and somehow there are screaming children outside my window. This has never happened before. So they must have heard that I was streaming and decided to just be psychos and loud. I don't like children. Um, that's okay if you do, but I don't. And I know that a lot of women who are child-free feel the need to fall all over themselves and saying, "But I love children, but I love children," because they don't want to be labeled a evil witch or something. But I really don't like kids, and I'm not afraid to say that. I think they're very annoying. They're loud, they're gross. So, yeah, we're going to be talking about an article from the New York Times today called "A Sex Strike is a Losing Strategy for American Women," which is goofy as heck. I almost put "pick me" in the title of the stream, but I know a lot of women don't like that term and find it misogynistic. And a lot of feminists think people should not use the word pick me, but nothing could describe this piece of writing better. I have only skimmed it and I read some commentary about it, but I have actually not read the article in its entirety, so we're going to get to read it and react together. Please feel free to say hello in the chat and make your presence known and say hi. We're all friends here. This is a good, friendly time. This article is written by a woman named Kami Rieck, who graduated from college 2 years ago, so I'm sure she knows lots and lots about the world. She's 25 years old. And as a Zoomer writing in the New York Times, I would call her a useful idiot. When I found out that she was such a youngin', I was like, should I be going in on this woman? She doesn't know anything about the world. But I guess if you're published in the New York Times, you're fair game. Hello, Jessica. YouTube gave me an ad for becoming a surrogate. Wow. Have fun. Are you thinking about it? Hello, Lee. Hello, sisters and children of women. Hello, Nix13. Great to be here. Hello, Fly Amanita. Hello, hello. Welcome to the stream. Do Zoomers know anything? Does Gen Z know anything, or do they just vote for meme presidents? Are we disappointed in Gen Z for going towards the right? I don't know. Did you guys see did you see this tweet this guy made? I don't know who this guy is, but how he said, "Your body, my choice." Did y'all see that? Um, or no, it was "Her body, my choice," or "Your body, my choice," or whatever it was. Um, that's pretty gross, and then I guess a lot of men were retweeting that and liking it and tweeting it out themselves. But I think this article that we're gonna read is actually the other end of the horseshoe, and it's also saying "Your body, my choice." You don't wanna have a baby? Too bad. That's the wrong solution. Gotta do it anyways. You don't wanna date men? You don't wanna have sex with, men? Too bad. Your body, our choice. So I'm going to get into it. Super short article. This is gonna be a pretty short stream. So I did hear that this guy someone showed up at his house and he pepper sprayed them and they called the cops on him or something. Kind of a funny little story. He just seems like a loser. I think there's a lot of contrarianism in the internet, and it's unhealthy. It's unhealthy for all of us. It's led to an unhealthy outcome for this election. Literally, people just voting to be contrarians, and you get what you get, I guess. It's not going to be a higher minimum wage, though. So, yeah, let's get into it. I'm going to do this style here. A sex strike is a losing strategy for American women by Kami Rieck, 25-year-old who graduated college 2 years ago. A Zoomer, a useful idiot, maybe a psyop. I've heard that take too. Is this just meant to sow division amongst women? Is this meant to, uh, you know, hurt our feminism, hurt our ability to define ourselves as feminism? Is the call coming from inside the house? Let's see. No dating, no sex with men, no heterosexual marriage, and no childbirth. These are the four principles of South Korea's 4B movement, a radical feminist movement that gained popularity in 2019 in response to sexism, hidden camera pornography, and intimate partner violence. All very good reasons to either start a movement or take action in your personal life, right? These are serious things. These are not trivial things. These are very serious, life destroying things. So, why wouldn't you want to do whatever you could to change this? Um, Radical feminist. You know, what is radical feminism but an assertion that we are human beings with value just for existing, right? We are not that we are, you know, the narrative in popular culture, our culture, is that women's value comes from being related to a man. She's a mother, she's a sister, she's somebody's daughter, and our value comes in relation to a man. That's throughout all of human history practically, right? Women have been a property of men, and our value has come as property. So radical feminism is simply women saying, we are not property, we're individuals of our own right. And yet people will hear the word radical and think it's some kind of extremist, like crazy thing. It's not. It's so simple. But I honestly think they, instead of calling it a feminist movement, they call it a radical feminist movement. That is to spice up this article and to make it seem like extremist when it's really not. As always, feel free to chime in as we read the article if you're having any thoughts about it. Um, the way these streams usually work, and this one is going to be no exception, is that I stop and comment as we read. I'm live reacting, and afterwards we will just open up the chat to chit chat about the article. Usually we open it up to whatever. Today's going to be a shorter stream, so we're going to just stick to this topic. But yeah, feel free to chat as we go. After Trump's victory, some American women have sought out the movement. Well, it's not just after his victory. There are a lot of women who've been doing this for many years. We have been ignored, and that is totally fine with me. I don't do this as a political statement. I don't do it for anyone else but myself, and no woman should be doing it for anyone but herself either. You have a lot to gain from practicing this 4B, female separatism, going your own way, whatever you want to call it. There's so much to benefit from. And yeah, there you have it. But it would be a mistake for women in the US to adopt its principles, which risk alienating those who would be our allies while ensuring little actually changes about our reality. So this is totally insane. Because read between the lines there, right? It's a mistake for women to stop dating men because it will alienate liberal men. So you must continue to have sex with liberal men to keep our political machine functioning, which, by the way, it's not functioning at all right now. But this is so insane. Does anyone else find this insane? I don't know if anyone's chatting or the chat's just not updated for me for the last 5 minutes. So that could be a problem. It happens sometimes. I can't imagine no one has chatted in 5 minutes with all the people who are here. I'll have to go on YouTube. Annoying. Oh no. There you are. You guys are quiet. Yeah, quiet. Speak up. Join me. Don't make me feel lonely. Sounds like they're afraid the strategy would actually work. 4B isn't a dating strategy, right? This is also, and I said this in my video, everyone's stunned. Yes, for sure. I said this, I'm going to switch to this. I like this view better. I said this in my video, but you shouldn't be doing this to get attention from men. The whole point of doing female separatism, 4B, whatever you want to call it, to me, 4B is just a word. I guess that's like, it's like trendy now to call it that, but we've been calling it separatism or going your own way for many years. The whole point is to get away from desiring men's attention and valuing men's attention. If you are doing this to get more attention from men, then you're not doing it. You are not even doing it. Expired. Hello, haven't seen you in a while. The masters have no interest in freeing the slaves. The slaves do not need permission from the masters to liberate themselves. Right? And they're never going to get it. They're never going to get permission. So we have to do this for ourselves. And it is truly for ourselves. It's not for men's benefit, right? Or to provoke them or to get back at them or, you know, whatever. It's not about spite. It's about survival. Beautifully stated. Couldn't have said it better myself. Exactly. Some American women are already devising plans to apply used menstrual pads to trucks with MAGA stickers. If that doesn't link to some like random TikTok video with 2,000 views, then, I'll eat my hat because that sounds like, who is talking about that? I mean, I swear to God, some weirdo on TikTok makes a video and then it like hits the New York Times. And undergo voluntary hysterectomy surgery. Well, I think reproductive rights are a huge part of this, and we can maybe talk about that in a little bit. I understand. Where is the empathy? Where is the sympathy for women who have lost their reproductive rights, who are literally dying in hospitals with doctors who have the tools and the skills to perform a life-saving operation, but they can't do it because of the law? And you're shaming a woman, basically, right? This is shaming. This article is shaming. You're shaming a woman who is scared for her own health and her life and her safety and her existence. And so she would go to the very drastic step of getting a hysterectomy to protect herself. That is so extreme, but it's born out of this extreme political situation that we're in right now. And we should be looking at those women with empathy and sympathy and sisterhood. Don't forget, this is a woman who wrote this article. Lee says separatism is about prioritizing women, not men. Rachel says this article already sounds incredibly judgmental and doesn't say anything yet about why women are feeling this way. Thank you. Lee says this article sounds even dumber than the civil rights protesters of the 60s trying to get approval of the Klan. Oof. Fly says, I think it's telling that they're saying women date men. They're saying for women to date men for political harmony, but not men stop outlawing women's rights for political harmony. Thank you. Exactly. Why is it the women who always have to do the accommodating when we are the ones who've lost our rights? Great point. And expired says 4B is not extremism. It's about common sense. TikTok and Instagram Reels videos related to the 4B movement gained millions of views this week, and Google searches spiked in the US on Wednesday, most notably in Democratic states. Good for them. I hope this is not just a flash in the pan fad and that there is some legs to this, please. Trump's win was devastating for many women. Their rage is understandable, but a 4B style reaction is not constructive or sustainable. My friends, what is 4B? It's saying I don't want to date men. I don't want to have sex with men. I don't want to marry men, and I don't want to have children. That's what it is. I don't want. It's saying no. What do we say when a woman says no? We say, "Okay, I hear you." No is a complete sentence. When a woman says no, it's not a jumping off point for a negotiation. When she says no, it's you don't come back and say, "Oh, but what about this?" That is called rape culture. Okay, that's rape culture when a woman says no and you say, "Okay, but really you should do it anyways." That's rape culture, period. That's what this woman is advocating for. So I don't feel bad, even though this woman is like a kid basically writing this article. She's advocating for violating women's boundaries, and that's unacceptable. Women shouldn't reduce their ability to demand policy changes and equal dignity to the ways in which we should or should not have sex or bear children. Who said anything about that? That is totally separate from any uh, political organizing or protesting that we do about policy changes is totally separate. This is just saying, I don't want to date a man. Okay. Again, the reaction to that should be okay, good for you. I hope you have a great life. I hope all your dreams come true, sister. The 4B philosophy is short sighted, primarily because it demonizes men. I think men demonize themselves. Also, yes, demonizing men, we don't care. I don't care how men feel about it. If I say I don't want to date a man, I do not care how any man feels about that. That's about me. It's about me and getting what I want out of life. And it does not include a man. And I really don't care if men like feel that it demonizes them. I don't care. Including those who champion equality and reproductive freedom while constraining the women who participate in it. It's not constraining, it's liberating. My sweet summer child, Kami Rieck, my sweet summer child, you don't understand. This is not a constraint for women, this is freedom. Women have tried to use sex strikes for political influence in Liberia, Kenya, Colombia, Philippines, Belgium, and other countries, all totally different societies than America. And not that analogous. Aside from gaining publicity, there's little evidence to suggest that they successfully persuade people. Again, it's not, to me, this is not about political activism. This is just about having a better, superior life of peace and harmony and personal self-care and self-growth and like the wonderful things that come out of this. I don't really care if anyone pays attention to me doing this or not. The only reason I talk about it on the internet is because there are women who are looking for this information and they're looking for someone to tell them that actually, yes, it is great. If you want to give it a try, give it a try. Also, look, this 4B, it's free. It's a non-action. You don't actually have to do anything. All you have to do is invest in yourself, right? It's worth trying because you know what? You don't like it? Go back to dating men. Nobody cares. The activist Lama Gabawi, who won the Nobel Peace Prize in 2011 for leading a women's protest credited for ending the Second Liberian Civil War, wrote in her memoir that sex strikes had little or no practical effect. Even though it was the women's protest movement credited for ending a civil war, because when women rise up and organize and do stuff, it has a massive effect. Again, this is not to punish men. I really don't, yeah. Like Lee says, honestly, I'd be happy if men never speak about us or 4B ever again. I really don't care. I think my reaction to this hitting like the big news is a little like, it's like bittersweet. Like it's cool that women are finding out about this, but it's brought like this wave of trolls, right? Of like people being like, you're ugly, you're awful cat ladies, and you hate children, and you're a little witch or whatever. It's like, I don't need that. Like my whole life is oriented around peace. I don't need people like telling me I'm a witch. Um, Literally my whole life is oriented around peace and pacifism and just being chill. Like my goal is to just have the chillest day each day and every day. I'm super happy and I just that's how I live my life. So it's like, yeah, this getting attention is like it's I don't want to say it's like reduced my chill, but it's reminded me that I need to like work to preserve my chill. Trump's election should spur American feminists to address gendered grievances in ways that could be more materially effective. In developed countries, women wield significant economic and purchasing power, control a majority of global consumer spending, and make up a substantial portion of the workforce. Okay, so this is something that this author does get right. We should use our purchasing power to sway the conversation and sway the landscape. And I don't know how many times I have to say it. Stop buying makeup. I got a little fact for you guys. The heir to the Estee Lauder fortune donated $11 million to the Republican Party this election cycle. That is what your makeup money is buying. It's buying influence over Republicans who are taking away your rights. Stop spending money on makeup. Stop giving money to these like deranged misogynist men who run makeup companies. Just stop. Just stop doing it. Rachel says, isn't that part about purchasing power part of 6B4T, the full movement, though? So she's already advocating for part of it. Exactly. Lee says, I realize this young woman likely doesn't even understand what radical feminism even means. I'm sure she doesn't. I hope she comes across this video. Seeing as not a lot of people are responding to this article, I've seen like 2 responses to it. Maybe she will, and maybe she can learn something and go forward in her life with a little more information than she has now. We're already at the end of this article, so short. In response to rising gender inequality, women should harness their political and economic power to demand change rather than limit ourselves to our sexual power. No one said anything about limiting ourselves to our sexual power. Also, can we get rid of this idea that that sexual power even exists at all? Let's get rid of that idea. Some of you guys know that I occasionally read romance novels for my job. And a very common trope in romance novels is for a woman to be performing a degrading sex act and to be thinking in her mind, I've never felt more powerful in my life. Right? That's really common in romance novels to be having degrading sex and be thinking, this is the height of my power as a woman. I've never felt more powerful. Why do we link men's attention to women's power? That's not real power. Why do we link women's sexual prowess to a form of power? We don't think about it. It doesn't go the other way. So that That just seems, in and of itself, that's quite a sexist way to look at women, that our power comes from, our sexual prowess or whatever. I don't listen, I'm not on TikTok. I don't know the girlies on TikTok who are into this 4B stuff, if they are, like, promoting these messages. Um, if they are, that's obviously not great. But 4B is like just about separating. It's about going your own way. It's about just doing your own thing and focusing on yourself, decentering men, centering yourself. It should be nothing wrong at all with a woman putting herself front and center in her life. That's where she belongs. She belongs to be at the center of her life rather than other people. We would best be we would be best served by rejecting unequal household duties, engaging in a consumer strike, or boycotting discriminatory companies. And I totally agree with her there. But you can do both. You can do both, and you should do both, right? It's not one or the other. Do both. Women also must take this opportunity to bring men along with us. Changing gender roles is a main reason many young men say they feel economically and socially left behind. Not my problem. Not my problem. You got bootstraps. Pull yourself up by them. Why is it women's responsibility that men are falling behind? Women had to bring themselves up when they were behind. No men were helping us. Yeah, that's what I wanna know, Rachel. Who paid her to write this op-ed for real? This feels like a psyop. Instead of boycotting men, feminists should acknowledge the legitimate ways men have lost ground in education, employment, and health. Why? That's not what feminism is. Oh my God. Please. That's not our responsibility. Feminism has one very specific goal, and that's to further women in our society, reinforce the idea that women are human beings and everything that should go along with that. Men have been boycotting us since forever by reversal, and yet we're supposed to, yes, thank you, Fly. We need to stop the scope creep of feminism. I've said this many times in many contexts. People say feminism should be about animal rights. Feminism should be about the environment. It's like, yeah, those are good things to care about. Those are good things to do activism about, but that's not feminism. Feminism is one very, very, very specific thing. And we should not have any creep of the scope of feminism. I totally agree. Um, Feminists should acknowledge the legitimate ways men have lost ground in education, employment, and health. How about focusing on the education, employment, and health of women and girls? Because we actually are still not, we're not there yet. So why would we, okay, let's make men better again. Let's give back the ground that we've won to men. I don't get that. Find ways to craft a feminist message that includes them in the project of ensuring equal rights for us all. That really sounds like a Emma Watson. Is that her name? He for she. That feminism should be just as much about men's rights as women's rights. Please, please. We are asking them for crumbs. Man, it's pretty sad. Pretty sad article, my opinion. Men outlaw women's health. We were supposed to focus on their health. Please. Exactly. Jessica hitting some points here. Barriers to women's education, forced marriage, period poverty, barriers to men's education. Can't listen to female teachers. Learning to sit still after being allowed to be disruptive is hard. They can fight for themselves. We've been fighting for ourselves. They can fight for themselves. This 4B movement is not about fighting anybody. It's about peace. Let's all just take a deep breath. It's about peace, my friends. It's about living a peaceful life, unbothered, focused on yourself. You wake up in the morning, you're focused on yourself. You go to bed at night, you're focused on yourself. Everything in between, you're doing your self care. You're working to make your life better. If you have any extra energy left over, work to make your sister's life better. That's it. It's not about men. It's not about men at all. It's not about getting attention from men. It's not about arguing with men. It's about your own well being with an emphasis on well and an emphasis on being. You are a very important human being and you deserve to treat yourself that way and put yourself first. And that's all this is about. So I would call that pick meism. I know pick me is not too nice of a word. I would say that was a primo example of pick meism. I don't use the B word because it's misogynistic. I don't say Karen because it's misogynistic. But pick me, I think, has its place because those women are actually they are this is a letter to women to not do something that could lead to their individual and class liberation. She's saying, "Don't do that. Don't do that, ladies." The birth weight rate will crumble, and I'm all for it. It's already, I think we're a little below replacement rate right now. Although we got immigrants. Nobody ever talks about that. Does it matter if the birth rate falls in the US when we've got immigrants to replace the workforce? I never hear that angle ever. It is a privilege to be single. In the West, we are lucky to have the choice. There are women throughout millennia of human history and currently today in places like the Middle East and South Asia and other places where women do not have the choice. They are sold as goods by their fathers to a man, often when they're still children, um, instead of, you know, marriage. It's not really marriage, right? It's a non-consensual rape situation, right? A lot of women would love to have the privilege of being single and being able to spend their lives focused on themselves and their own growth and all of that. Women in the West have that privilege. It is a privilege to be single. It is not misery. It is not cat ladydom. It is a joyful, peaceful, lovely life where you do not have to serve a man as a slave and a servant. That is being single in the West, should you choose it. It's not sad. It's quite lovely. The landscape with respect to abortion rights right now. Take it seriously. I didn't see any mention of that in this article, any serious breakdown of what's actually going on, besides mentioning in passing that women are having hysterectomies to deal with this, right? Women are dying. Women have been dying for years now, actually. Women are dying in hospitals in the worst possible way you can imagine, delirious, vomiting blood, horrible. It should be spoken about because it's awful and it's evil what Republicans have done. I've seen a lot of so-called radical feminists try to find refuge in the Republican Party. In fact, I'm the only American radical feminist that I know of that's still saying Stay on the left. It's a better place. As far as I know, they're all shilling for Trump, and I don't get it. Women are dying. They're dying in hospitals from pregnancies they wanted. They're dying when they got sick during their baby shower for a baby they wanted, and then they're going to 3 hospitals, and then they are dying. It's horrifying. I sympathize with women who see this and they say, "I need to sterilize myself because that cannot happen. I cannot die when I'm 18 years old or when I'm 25 years old because I can't access healthcare when there's a doctor there who can perform a DNC and they have all the tools and the operating room and the nurses to do it, and they won't do it because laws have been passed that threaten these doctors with a life in prison or whatever, a serious offense. It's crazy. This is life or death. Everyone should be upset about this. It's crazy. If you want to do 4B as a form of protest, do it as a quiet form of protest. It's a non-action. I love radical feminist actions that are non-actions. Don't wear makeup. Great radical feminist action. Takes no time, takes no money, takes no energy, and takes no effort. Same with 4B. You just don't date men. All that time and energy and effort and money and emotional involvement, you don't have to do anything. You want to do it as a quiet form of protest? Do it as a quiet form of protest. Go for it. In every society, as soon as women have the option because they are better educated, they have more career choices, and women's rights reaches that point, they opt out of motherhood. They opt out of being a wife as soon as they don't have to do it because that they're tied to that occupation because of the economic system that they're in and a lack of education. They opt out. It happens in every society. If this was a worse choice for women, why would it happen universally in every society where women gain power and gain strength within the society? Why don't they just choose to be moms anyways? Because that's what every woman's meant to do. They don't. That's the proof is in the pudding. The proof is in the pudding. Women are not choosing to not become mothers because that makes them miserable. No one would choose to be miserable. Any woman could become a mother if she wants to. I talked about that in my last video. There's no such thing as a female incel. That does not exist. You can find a husband, easy peasy pie, if you want, but women don't want to. And they aren't choosing this lifestyle of 4B or whatever name you want to call it because it makes them miserable. Period. It doesn't. If this was making me miserable, I would go back to dating men. I love it. I love my life. It's not sour grapes. It's not cope. I just love it. You don't have to believe it, but that's the truth. For me personally, relationships really stress the hell out of me. Every long-term relationship I've been in, I've been sick. I've had to hide any problems I had because I never wanted to rock the boat and make a man do any work. I had to make it look like everything was perfect all the time, and I had to hide any imperfections in my life, and it's very stressful to go through life like that. Maybe that's just me, but that is me, and so for me, I know that I am happier this way. I only have to worry about myself. I can be gross. I can be whatever. I don't have to compromise right? People always say relationships are all about compromise. Yeah, it was always me doing the compromising. That's what it felt like. I don't wanna compromise. It you know? And again, that could just be me, could just be maybe it's just the men that I dated. Maybe there's a perfect guy out there for me. Maybe not. But I know I'm happy like this. I know that. So I don't have to wonder about the other side. And that's why I say to women, try it out. You don't know. Also, I will say, I don't think it's possible to have that optimal relationship with a man until you know who you are. And 4B can be a stopping point on the way to a relationship. That's a spicy take. That's one the real rad femmes might not like, but you can actually try this out and see how it goes. And it can be a stepping stone on the way to having a relationship. But know yourself first, right? My mom's in the background interrupting me. But yeah, I hope that you guys got something out of this. I am actually going to go very shortly. So if you have anything to say it in the chat now. Lee says, I don't think a lot of the women claiming to be rad femmes that support the right were ever actually radical or feminist. They're gender conservatives. Totally agree. Missed you too. Um, yeah, I want to finish that point that I was just making because I was distracted and I apologize. But yeah, like basically, there are women who are like, well, I can have my Nigel and I can have my great relationship and everything. And um and they've never done the work on knowing who they are, what they want, or centering themselves first. And this this 4B, it's about us each as individuals. And this is not, another thing we hear a lot is like, oh, your misery loves company and you just want other women to be miserable. First of all, obviously I don't. I want women to be very happy. But also, like I don't really care if any other women do this or adopt this lifestyle. Like it's purely about me. Like I do this for me. I don't really care if any other women do it. I don't care if women date men or get married or whatever. I don't care. I really don't. But I think that if you say that you want to have a relationship with a man and whatever, that you should come to it from a place of knowing what you want and knowing what it feels like to prioritize yourself. Because when it comes to the relationship and you then find yourself deprioritizing yourself and putting yourself last all the time, you'll know the contrast. And if you're in a relationship with a man and you say, I want to center myself and I want to put myself first, um, then if he has a problem with that, then you know where you stand, you know? Then you know where you stand. Salad says, "The happiest mothers I know all have maids and send their kids to private school." All right, so that is the stream, short stream. I wanna thank you guys for joining and chatting. Again, if you have anything you wanna say, 60 seconds, get it into the chat right now. Um, Rated woman, hi Lisa, maybe finding the right man is like trying to find a turd worth polishing. Some women believe it's out there, but again, I mentioned this in my last video. I dated men continuously from when I was 15 to when I was like 34 or something. So I never had known what it was like to even be alone, basically. And I think there are other women out there and you should know that before you're in your mid-30s because it's wonderful. So, yeah, that's all. It's harmless. At worst, it's harmless. At best, it's gonna make your life a lot better. So there you go. All right, thank you guys. I will see you next time. Hey, Ice Goddess, I'm trying to do a 6 to 7 minute video every other day. Tomorrow would be that day. So I don't know, we'll see. But yeah, I'm trying to just riff until I'm healthy enough to get back to fitness content. And then I probably will say uh I'm just gonna get back to fitness narc posting because that's what I love to do. I just can't do that right now because I'm sick, but I may, and also the feminist stuff is sort of like hot right now, and there seems to be, a lot of people want to chat about it, and I love hearing from you guys in the comments and all of that stuff. So um we'll keep it going for a little bit longer. So anyways, yeah, thank you guys. Bye.